Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel Networking Made Easy by T.S. Srinivas. So in continuation with our session, today we are going to discuss about the important topic, the because of which the digital communication has become very popular. Okay, the benefits of digital communication, what we are getting today, is because of this very concept called time division multiplexing. So as we have seen already, how analog signals are being converted to digital form. Okay, so we know that how to take the samples, then the samples are being represented in the binary form, then we adopted some line coding, then we have seen that it was being transmitted through the medium. Okay, so now basically you see this particular time division multiplexing, see why it is required, what is the importance of it. See, just because generally there is a term called trunks on long haul networks. Okay, the trunks on long haul network, see this is one particular thing, the trunk or the link. Okay, so this particular link is carrying lot of traffic, not individual traffic, because so many users are there. Okay, all the particular traffic is carried by one single link. Okay, so generally when it is carrying large traffic, so its capacity, see in the last session we have seen what is a channel capacity. Okay, the capacity of this channel will be very high. Okay, this particular link, this particular network has been so nicely designed that its data rate is very high. Okay, if you are able to develop this kind of very link whose data rate is very high, then how the data is being transferred, how this particular link is being made utilized, best utilization. Okay, so for that reason, you see, that's what. So these generally the trunks are of long haul with a high capacity. Okay, basically this particular link is connected with the medium, either maybe a fiber, coaxial or microwave link, which these particular things we have discussed in our earlier sessions also. Okay, these links are having a high rate of data carrying capacities available. Okay, so generally what is the next point is, the higher the data rate, the more is the cost effective. How the cost of transferring the data rate can be reduced, because you just see, if this particular link is carrying large traffic and it is providing service to many customers, then whatever the investment you have made on this particular equipment will be very cost effective. Okay, so see, generally the cost of transmitter and receiver equipment, the cost of the transmitter and receiver equipment per kbps declines with the increase in data rate. Okay, you have high rate of data rate capacity, then the cost of this particular, because you are investing huge amount, so its link data carrying capacity is very high. See, so far what we are discussing is, you are designing a link with the high rate of data carrying capacity. Okay, so then what next? What next? Who is going to use this? You have created such a beautiful link. Is only one user is going to use this particular link? If only one user is using this particular link, then definitely it becomes too high. It's a wastage of this particular resource, isn't it? And generally what we see is, the most of the individual data communicating devices require modest data rate. Okay, if you take the example of a voice channel, you know the bandwidth is 4 kilohertz. Okay, if you are sampling at 8000 samples per second and each sample is represented by 8 bits, so what is the data rate? It is 64 kilobits per second. That's it. So if you are able to transfer 64 kilobits per second to the next point, to the end point, so that is sufficient for an individual user. Okay, so but what is the use of creating such a high data rate capacity link? Okay, now the question comes, the multiplexing. So the multiplexing allows several transmissions to share this particular larger transmitter capacity. Okay, so that's what is the concept called synchronous time division multiplexing. Okay, now let us see how this particular time division multiplexing is being implemented. Okay, so just concentrate for next few minutes. It's very useful information as far as the time division multiplexing is concerned. Okay, so far here you have seen each channel, means each user, okay, his data rate is 64 kilobits per second. Okay, he is generating 64 kilobits per second. So this has to reach to the end user. Fine. So now we all knew that how this has come out. Okay, fine. Now in general, like there is a concept called digital carrier system. Okay, so even in the earlier in one of the sessions, I told when the PCM, pulse code modulation, digital communication has been set up, certain standards at that particular end could not be immediately developed. Okay, so that's the reason the two kinds of digital carrier system is very popular. Okay, one is T1, which is used in USA and Japan. T1 carrier system is used in USA and Japan. And there is another carrier system, that is E1, which is used in the rest of the world, especially in Europe and Asia. Okay, so let us see, and we can see it's not so difficult. See, when at the end of the session you will find this particular multiplexing is so simple and it's very easy for understanding also. Only thing, you have to pay little attention when certain points are being discussed. Okay. Now you just see, you will see one by one how T1 is working and how E1 carrier system is working. Firstly, you already know that the original analog voice signal is digitized at what rate? That is 8000 samples per second. Fine. Okay, and in both the cases, in T1 or E1, the original voice signal is sampled at this rate. That's what the Nyquist has told. Okay, so and each number of bits per sample is also 8 bits in both the cases. Okay, so now you know each sample is represented by using 8 bits. Fine. Now original sample duration, because the sample duration, we know that it is 125 microseconds. So these are all things as far as original signal is concerned. Fine. And we know that 8000 samples per second and 8 bits per second. So ultimately you are achieving 64 kilobits per second for each voice channel. Fine, that's very good. So next comes, see what we are doing it. So in this particular link, in the case of, if it is a T1, so it will carry 24, because what you are trying to do is this particular link is carrying 24 customers traffic, means it is being divided into 24 channels in the case of a T1, whereas in the case of a E1 it has been divided into 32 channels. Okay, you just see what is this particular channel 24 channel. So this is multiplexing 24 channels in the case of a T1 and it is multiplexing 32 channels in the case of E1. Okay, So number of frames per second. See, once again, you see the logic is so good here. Here again, number of frames is 8000, okay, per second. Number of frames, okay. If number of frames 8000 per second means what? Again, one frame duration is nothing but 125 microseconds. Okay, now just concentrate one frame. One frame duration is 125 microseconds. So how many frames are there in a second? So it is 8000 frames per second. Now this one frame, in the case of a T1, you have 24 channels. Okay, it has been divided into 24 channels. And similarly, in the case of E1, it is 32 channels. Okay, don't get confused, you'll understand further better. So, what is being done in channel, what it is doing? So, each channel is given to one customer. So, what it is doing is, so each time, in each frame, it is carrying 8 bits of one customer's traffic. 8 bits. Okay. So, you just see that's what. It is carrying 8 bits of one customer. You just see for simple understanding, because ultimately what is expected to reach at the destination is each customer, again it should be transferred with 64 kbps. If this is being achieved, so your purpose is solved. How it is reaching to the next end, that is immaterial. Okay. So what we have to understand here is 8 bits of one customer in one channel is being carried in one frame. Okay. This how many times you are doing it? 8000 times. Okay. You just take a case of one channel. How many bits it is carrying? 8 bits. Okay. So ultimately how many frames you are generating? It is 8000 frames per second. So likewise 8 into 8000, again 64 kbps is being transferred to the end. Okay, that's the logic. So one customer's purpose is solved. So likewise you are giving service to how many customers? So that is 24 channels in the case of a T1. Okay, and you have 32 channels in E1. Now further you will understand better how these channels are being utilized. Okay, now you see, now since you have 24 channels in the case of a T1 and 32 channels in the case of a E1. Okay, now how many bits per frame? How many bits you are generating per frame? Per frame, in the sense already you know, number of frames, it is understood already, 8000. Okay, number of bits per frame. Okay, in the case of a T1, it is 24 channels, okay, into 8 bits. Already discussed that each channel carries 8 bits. Okay, plus one extra bit. In T1, 24 into 8 plus one extra bit, it becomes 193 bits. Okay, so why this one extra bit? Okay, now here comes one thing already we discussed in the digital communication. Very important thing is the synchronization. See, ultimately it is not the this thing that all the data has reached to the end point. What to do with that particular data? The receiver is able to detect it, isn't it? So it should be able to understand from where the frame is starting. Okay, so these bits belong to first channel, these bits belong to second channel. So that is how it can understand. So it has to exactly synchronize with the transmission, isn't it? Okay, so that's the reason in the case of a T1, there is one particular extra bit is put in each frame, the start of the frame, that is for synchronization purpose. Start of the frame. So that's how it is 193 bits. Okay. Here you have in E1 you have simple 32 channels. Okay. So 32 into 8 you have 256 bits. So this particular 32 channels in the case of a E1, it is not totally used for traffic purpose. Okay. So out of this 32 you have 30 channels for the customers and you have 2 channels for a specific purpose. Okay. So that is nothing but you have one channel, because see in the case of a E1 you have 32 channels. It is being divided into time slots like this: TS0, TS1, TS2. So likewise it goes up to TS31. Okay. So in the case of a E1, this TS0 and TS16, okay, these 2 channels are not given to the customers. Okay, it is having, say, TS0 is used for synchronization, frame synchronization, as well as it will generate certain alerts, okay, some alarms, okay, and for purpose of CRC, as far as the error correction, error detection is concerned. Okay, so you just don't get confused. The TS0 timing you can understand that is basically it is for synchronizing the frame. Okay, and this TS16 is carrying the signaling information. Okay, so at this point you have to understand 2 things. You understood the synchronization purpose, because if you synchronize properly, the receiver will be able to detect properly, fine. That is one is primary requirement. What is the concept of this particular signaling? Okay, signaling is another useful concept. Why? Because you just see whenever you are making a call, there is a procedure, isn't it? You have to set up the call. So whenever the call is being set up, then only you will be able to make conversation. So there are 2 important processes involved: call setup and call tear down, means it is for closing. Okay, so for these 2 things there should be some signaling. Okay, so that's a requirement in the communication. So that's why the TS0 is taking care of the responsibility of synchronization, and TS16 frame, okay, is taking care, TS16 channel, okay, is taking care of signaling. Sorry, don't get confused, because in each frame you have 32 channels, isn't it? So out of this 32, 30 channels are meant for traffic, and these 2 channels, TS0 is meant for synchronization and TS16 is for signaling. So ultimately what you see is number of voice channels. Number of voice channels in the case of a T1 is 24, and in the case of a E1 you have 30 voice channels. 30 voice channels. Okay, 2 channels have been used for specific purpose, and here you understood you have 1 extra bit available here, 1 extra bit available, okay, in each frame, that is taking care of synchronization. So that part is over. Then how about the signaling part in T1? Okay, in T1 the signaling, how it is being done is every 6th frame of each channel, just listen, every 6th frame of each channel, okay, see when it starts counting, okay, when it starts counting every 6th frame, the 8th bit is representing the signaling bit. Okay, rest 7 bits are representing the data. 8th bit is representing signaling. You just see, don't get confused, in particular 1 second there are 8,000 frames, isn't it? So what is happening is, if you start in 1 particular second, okay, means frame 0, frame 1, frame 1, like, so every fifth frame, okay, the 8th bit of each channel is representing signaling bit. Okay, now you can question what this one bit will be talking about. Okay, it's not like that. There's a procedure, because this all data, when it is moving to the receiver doesn't take action immediately. Okay, this data is being stored in the memory. This data goes into the memory. Then based on this particular frame sequence information, then it is collecting the signaling bits and it is taking necessary action accordingly. Okay, so there is a procedure. Because the things are happening so fast, you cannot imagine. See, here again I want to repeat one particular thing is, the beauty of the digital communication is the memory, storage. Okay, you no need to worry that whatever the data has been received to the receiver straight away processes it. Okay, you can just store it, understand the data, then act accordingly. So that is what is the importance. That's how the digital communication has become popular. Okay, so that's what we understood, because what is happening is every sixth frame of each channel, eighth bit is representing the signaling bit. See, that is what it is understood counting. Okay, this channels, this many signaling bits have okay, forward signaling bits are there, then it is conveying some information, then accordingly some action has been taken place. Okay, so that is taking care, the receiver is taking care accordingly. And whereas in E1, so when I told that TS16, okay, TS16 of each frame is providing signal information. Okay, but how it is, you just see, that's what. Here also, TS16 of frame 0 to 15. Okay, TS means total means 16 frames. What it is containing the signaling bits of 30 channels. Because you see, in the case of a E1, you know that in each channel it is having a capacity of 8 bits. So once you have this kind of 8 bits in 15 frames, so it is so nicely designed that in each channel 4 bits, okay, are representing each channel signaling information. So likewise, it is providing the signaling information all the 30 channels. So once again I told, see, that's what, when this particular data are systematically moving to the receiver, it is putting into the memory form, and accordingly once the particular see, whatever the discussions we are making here, the receiver also should interpret accordingly. Okay, so what is happening is, whatever you are originally agreeing, okay, how you are putting the things, because ultimately in digital communication you find only ones and zeros are there. Okay, what receiver should do with this particular thing? Already there is an understanding. If the pattern of signaling bits are like this, you do this way. And where to get the signaling bit? So that also we have told earlier. So it is looking for signaling bits of each channel between this from 0 to 15 frames. Okay. So this is how you just see. Okay, so once again, small revision that whatever we have discussed so far. Now coming back, you just see. So each channel, how 64 kilobits per second, you got it, you understood, fine. Okay, and similarly, what you are trying to do is, the frames you are generating here. In this particular link, what you are doing is, you are generating a frame. Okay, how many frames? 8,000 frames. That's very good. So naturally 8,000 frames, each frame duration is 125 microsecond. So what is there in each frame is 24 channels in the case of a T1 and 32 channels in the case of a E1. Okay. Now again, you know, each channel is taking care of 8 bits of each traffic. Okay. So each channel is having a capacity of 8 bits only. Okay. Now see, this is over. You have 24 channels here and 1 bit extra in each frame. Why you are putting? For frame synchronization. Okay. And similarly, in the case of a E1, you have a 32 channels, but ultimately you are using only 30 channels for voice channels and two channels are being used for, one is for synchronization and other one is for signaling. Okay. So that's what we have seen, the frame synchronization, how you are achieving. In the case of a T1 is, you are having 1 bit per frame, whereas in the TS0 you have 8 bits, and alternately what you are doing is you are generating a fixed pattern. In the alternate frames you are generating 0 0 1 1 0 1 1. Okay, so this particular stream, whenever it is looking, it is getting synchronized. Okay, now here one very important thing you should understand. You see here, in the case of a original voice what you are generating, okay, you are having 64 kilobits per second. So the samples are also 8000. Each sample duration is also 125 microseconds. Okay, now here in the case of a individual customer, each sample is 125 microseconds. It is representing how many bits? Again 8 bits. Now what's the difference here? Okay, here 8 bits in 125 microseconds. But when it is coming here, you just see, in the case of a T1 you have 193 bits, and in the case of a E1 256 bits. Then what happened? What is the effect? The bit duration has gone down so low. You just see, that's what especially I have mentioned here. Bit duration in the case of a T1 is 0.647 microseconds, and in the case of a E1 it is 0.488 microseconds, which is smaller. In the E1 case it is smaller because number of bits are more here. Okay, now here already we know when the bits are becoming closer, smaller, then what is the problem? The receiver has to be very careful, because available to identify a bit, the time available is very less. So in this particular small duration, it should be able to make out whether it is a 0 or 1. So it has to interpret rightly. So it has to be more accurate, isn't it? So that's why that is what is the difference. Okay, when you increase the data rate capacity of one particular link, what actually you are doing? The duration is the same, 1 second is the same. Okay, when you are generating the samples here, the same second, in that 1 second you are generated 64 kilobits. Now what you are trying to do? This link is generating much more, isn't it? Okay. Now finally we'll come to one very important thing, is the data rate. Okay. Now what is this particular data rate of this link? Simple. Okay. You know there are, how many frames are there? 8000 in the case of a T1. And how many bits are there in each frame? 193. So what you are achieving here is 1.544 megabits per second. Okay. And similarly in E1, okay, how many frames? Same 8000, but number of bits per frame is 256. So you are getting a speed of 2.048 megabits per second. Okay. So finally, you are getting one important information as far as the T1 and E1 is concerned. So what is the data rate of T1? Is 1.544 megabits per second, and whereas data rate of E1 is 2.048 megabits per second. Okay. Now just see, because this particular link data rate is so high, so that's the reason it is carrying 30 voice channels with 64 kilobits per second data rate. Okay, so that's the beauty of this particular concept called multiplexing. Okay. Fine. So, very good. So we are reached up to this, and okay. Now, you can understand now. Here it's a small, it is left to you, you can easily understand. So you can make a small comparison. Which one is better? T1 is better or E1 is better? Okay, now you see here, one small edge of T1 is, okay, edge of T1 is because the bit duration is slightly more in comparison to E1. So the receiver, the error, chances of making error by a receiver is slightly more in E1 than T1. Okay. So this is one part of it. And if the receiver is so good, it's not an issue. Okay, your design of receiver is so good, demultiplexing means in the sense, okay, we'll come to that point. So it is so good that it is easily able to make out. So then E1 is having advantage because your data rate is so high. Okay, the speed is so good. One link is able to give so much of, because rest all the things are same, but you are achieving more speed, isn't it? That's a small difference. Okay, but it's how, as it is told, okay, International Telecommunication Union. Okay, so this has come out with a standard called E1. This has been utilized, means it is in practice in Europe and Asia and most of the countries except USA, Japan and Canada, where already the T1 is in practice. So you just see, because of this, what is the problem is, so whenever communication is happening between these countries, like, you know, from America to say some other country in Asia or Europe, so what is happening, there should be a interface module. Okay, so all whatever it is coming from E1, it has to convert it into the T1, and the T1 to be converted into vice versa. So definitely that is an additional cost involved here. It's a very costly equipment, because your practice, see, now here you should understand one very primary thing, the term called standards. Okay, see, if the standards are followed all over the country, the same standards, then it's an advantage. Because see, now what is happening is this additional expenditure, isn't it? And there could be some delay also. You are doing some extra work. If the same standard is followed, no issue. Okay, so that's all. But happened. So that's what it is told. At that particular time, they could not come out with the standard, and this was the result. Okay. And similarly, when we were discussing the line coding schemes, we told that in T1, this particular scheme is being followed. Okay, that is same AMI, alternate mark inversion. Okay, followed by this codes, you know, that is bipolar 8-0 substitution. Okay, scrambling technique I told. Okay, similarly, in the case of a E1, high density bipolar 3-0 substitution. So that is also, actually originally it is AMI, then afterwards you are following some block code technique. So E1 it is followed this, and whereas T1 it is following this. Okay. So now coming to the main name, the synchronous time division multiplexing. Why it is called synchronous time division multiplexing? Just because synchronous, because the time slots are pre-assigned. The time slots are pre-assigned to the sources, and it is fixed. Okay, it's fixed. So that is the reason the name given synchronous time division multiplexing. Okay. Fine. Now another thing, because when I am talking about this mux here, demux here, because the individual traffic is coming here. When I am just putting this particular, you should have a trans receiver. It's a to and fro communication. Okay. So it's a full duplex communication. So you should have this particular equipment, all sorts, what all the things we have discussed earlier. Okay, ultimately what it is being done, see this particular line coding technique also to be adopted. Okay, the modulation techniques also, because it has to be converted into analog signals before it is sending into the kind of medium it is Okay. So these all things are involved in this. Similarly at the demultiplexer also, because demultiplexer we are talking in terms of receiver, because it is separating and sending it to the respective points. Okay. And another thing, because see, when I am telling synchronous, because already the time slots are assigned it. Okay. You can imagine this 30 voice channels in the case of a E1 and 24 channels in the case of a T1. Is it always full? Not necessary, isn't it? Because certain channels may be vacant, no data may be available, it may be free. It doesn't mean that slot will go vacant. Okay. If you want, I will give one example as far as, suppose for example, we are all familiar with going to exhibition, you might have seen a giant wheel. Okay. So whenever a lot of crowd is available, people buy tickets and go and sit it, and always you find when a lot of crowd is there, it is full and whole giant wheel seats are fully occupied. And the equipment in use, okay, it makes so many rotations and again stops, next crowd is sitting, it is okay. Sometimes it may so happen, few people are only available. Okay. And you see, sometimes it so looks bad that most of the seats are vacant and still it rotates. Okay. So the organizers cannot remove the seats and keep aside and only rotate for few people. It's not possible, isn't it? The whole, whatever the power required for rotating the giant wheel, it's the same. But seats are empty. We can't do anything. So likewise, here also, if the certain channels are empty, it's empty. It's a loss. Okay. So it may happen, but the system will work like that. The channel is empty, it's okay. Without bits, it goes. So whatever the channels are filled, the receiver will be providing service to only those channels. So that's how it is. Okay. So I think you have understood one very important concept of synchronous time division multiplexing, how T1 is being working and how E1 is working. Okay. Now before closing, there is another small table. Okay. Now, since we have studied how one T1 or how E1, okay, is organized, how the channels are available in each case. Okay. Next, there is a concept of higher level multiplexing also. Okay. So you cannot stop the multiplexing concept at this particular level. This is a basic multiplexing concept. But if you want to go further, higher level of multiplexing, so these are the standards. So already we have seen T1, where you are getting the data rate of 1.544 megabits per second, which is providing service to 24 voice channels. Okay. And similarly, if you go for T2, then you have 6.312 megabits per second and 96 voice channels services provided. And similarly for T3, 44.736 megabits per second and T4, 274.176 megabits per second, and it provides service to 4032 voice channels. Okay. And similarly, in the case of a E1, the first basic one you have seen, 2.048 megabits per second, and if you go for E2, it is 8.448 megabits per second, provides service for 120 channels. Okay. And similarly in E3, it is 34.368 megabits per second, provides service to 480 channels, voice channels, and E4, 139.264 megabits per second, provides voice service for 1920. Okay. So now you just see again this higher level of multiplexing follows different concept. Now it is not looking into the individual, already it has been done. Now it is multiplexing the lower level. Okay. Now there it requires again the same concept of frame synchronization, okay, then concept of signaling, some interleaving, some additional certain overhead bits are being used, okay. So that's why whatever the data rate, if you multiply and see, okay, it may be less, but whatever the figure it is showing here is at higher. Why? Because these additional bits are required for synchronization purpose. We call it as an overhead. It may not be utilized by the customers, but it is required for the processing purpose. Okay, so that's what you have to understand. So these are all possibilities. Okay, so once again I want to stress the importance of the digital communication is just because of time division multiplexing. Why? Because whatever you are imagining, like you just see here when I am talking about the higher level of multiplexing. So this is once again, one thing is common, that is the second. Okay, you started 1 second with this rate, now you see at the same 1 second you are able to generate this much of data rate. Means what? What exactly is happening? The bit size is becoming closer. Okay, ultimately who should be appreciated? The receiver. Even though this particular bit duration is getting so minute, it is having a capacity to recover it. Isn't it? So that is what the importance of the time division multiplexing. Okay, so these all things are used on the trunks on a long haul network. Okay, so this generally we are using for the point to point communication. So you just imagine if the large traffic from one city has to be sent to the next city, so there is a link, isn't it? So this link is having a high data rate capacity. So ultimately, to make best use of it, you have to go for a higher level of multiplexing. Okay, so I hope you understood the importance of a time division multiplexing. I feel most of the things have been covered. Okay. So fine. Thank you for listening to this lecture. And another small request is, see, those who are watching this particular video first time, my request is to watch all my earlier videos. Okay. So if you watch all these videos to this extent, I'm sure you will reasonably have a good understanding as far as a communication basics are concerned. Fine. So there are very few episodes left in the communication basics. So very shortly we will start with our main topic for which this particular channel has been started, that is about the networking basics. Okay. So once again the small request, if you like this particular videos, please subscribe. Please like it. Also share to your friends so that most of the students, especially freshers, they'll be benefited from these videos. Thank you very much. Bye.